Hello, everybody. This is Rajakali and my friend LTjohnsen, and we are
Yep.
talking today
What's up,
about
guys?
some of the games from E3's Microsoft press conference. Now, the
Yeah.
games we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about A Way Out, Assassin's Creed Origins, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, and Anthem. Just doing some
Yeah.
quick discussions on what we think about them because we think they're pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I'm going to start off with A Way Out, which
Yeah.
is a game that no one realized they wanted until they saw it and went, "Holy shit, we want this!"
Yeah. That was my thought when I first saw it as well. I was like,
Exactly,
"Holy
yeah.
shit, this is a pretty good idea. It's quite original, actually."
Yeah, it's a for those of you who don't know, it is a co-op prison break game, where you are playing as one of two characters, and well, it's your objective to escape a prison. At least that's how it begins. Eventually, it moves on to other things. But it seems very, very interesting because of the fact that it is always a co-op experience, and it is only a two-player co-op experience. So you can either play online with someone, or you can play on your couch as split screen, which is awesome. Always a fan of games including split screen, and so this might be a downside to some people because of the fact that you may have to have someone. You always will have to have someone to play with, or you will have to have an online connection. And for some people, they don't have an online connection, or they have a very terrible one. It's a very bad connection, and I can imagine there are some instances where you have to do sort of timed events and things like that, and sort of cooperate with your partner to like scale certain things and
Or
do
like,
things.
it could also be that like the person doesn't have anyone to play with. So if someone has not only bad internet or doesn't have any siblings at home or anything, say that, right? It's gonna be quite a problem. So this could be a downside to the game.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be a downside for some
It
people,
could
but I
break the game
imagine.
for some people.
But I imagine that sort of number of people is. I mean, they may be pretty small, but
Probably very small, yeah.
But it could still be a problem. But it seems very good for you and a friend to go through and play. And yeah, it seems like a lot of fun because it starts out as a prison thing, and then you eventually, well, lo and behold, you escape prison. If you're good enough, I guess. And then you end up on the run, so it actually it evolves from that, and you end up trying to achieve certain things for the characters that you're playing, because there are two characters. There's Leo and Vincent, and Leo is a more sort of aggressive guy. He's been in prison longer, and he wants to get out to see his. From what I could see from the trailer, he has like an 8-year-old son maybe or something like that, and he wants to, I guess, go out and see him. And they're also trying to take revenge on some guy called like Hammond or something like that. And then Vincent is more of a passive character who wants to go out and also get revenge on this Hammond character, but also wants to see his newborn daughter. I thought I said that wrong, but I didn't. All right,
Yeah.
so and he wants that provides some pretty good motivations for the characters, considering they want to see their
that's
family.
what I really like, is that it builds story and character for the game, and it kind of catches you in, because when I was watching the trailer, I kind of wanted to know more about these guys, like why they're doing this and what situation they're in and so on.
Yeah.
Like it really, like, you could say, connects the player to the story.
Yeah, it very much does that, and it'll be interesting to see because of the fact that it's got those two players. It'll be interesting to see someone play through as Vincent and then play as Leo in the next one, or decide if they're always going to play as Vincent and just see all the different options they can do with Vincent. Because the big thing in this game is you can actually, there's a lot of choices in terms of ways you handle situations. So, for example, in a gameplay trailer they released at E3, you can see they need to smuggle something out of a laundry in a laundry basket. And to first do that, they showed a couple of options of which you could do this. You could distract the guard by personally sabotaging one of the machines, and then just moseying on out as the guard is distracted trying to look at the machine. And also like bribe off some of the other prisoners with like smokes and things like that. So that's interesting. And then you could also do another thing where you cause a couple of the prisoners to fight each other, and then the guards go over there trying to stop that, and that ends up distracting the guards. And then you can get out that way. So it's very interesting the way that and it's always awesome that if you can approach a situation from different angles and different choices.
Yeah.
That always makes it for like some replayability.
Yeah.
And the game just looks really nice. It's
It looks
it's
really,
like a realistic
it
looking
has,
game.
Yeah, it's a rather realistic feeling game.
Yeah, and some of the scenery is very, very pretty.
Yeah,
There was
that's another.
yeah. there was a scene where they, I think it's probably like when they first escape or something like that, or when they're first getting out or something like that, and they see a wide vista of a screenshot up of it, of sort of this big like forest, and it looks very pretty. So it is, it's very good in that aspect as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just looks like
that's what I.
Yeah.
You go first.
Yeah, it just looks like a very interesting game that sort of came out of nowhere. That no one sort of knew they wanted, and now everyone wants it.
Yeah, that's what I found pretty interesting about this game was it mixed fast-paced action with like pretty scenery, so it really creates a unique feel for the game.
Yeah, it very much does. Like there was a scene where you are being the characters being chased by a bunch of police cars, but it looks very pretty in the background because it's like a sunset or something. But yeah, so that's a way out. It's it's a unique game that came out of nowhere, and now everyone wants it. And then the next game that we're going to talk about, because we got to get through these ones because it's like
there's a lot.
Yeah. Not as much as the goddamn press conference. I swear they said at the beginning like, oh yeah, we've got 48 games, and I was like, there's no way they're doing this. They did 48 games. It's like holy shit, and like 30 of the games had like individual trailers. There's no that fucking conference was like 2 hours. But yeah, anyway, so the next game is Assassin's Creed Origins, which is a Assassin's Creed game that is now set in Egypt, which is pretty fucking cool.
That's the main thing that I really like was how they've changed the setting for this Assassin's Creed compared to the past Assassin's Creeds that you have, which are mainly all set in Europe or America, if I'm correct.
Yeah, there was most of them have been set in Europe, in like Rome and that sort of thing. And then there was Assassin's Creed 3, which was set in America, and then you had
wasn't
most
there
of them were set
Assassin's
in that sort
Creed
of
Liberty as well?
Pardon?
Wasn't there another one called Assassin's Creed Liberty? I'm not sure if.
There's a bunch of games. They're all, but most of them were set in Europe, sort of thing. And there were a couple of other games that, like, I know one of them was set in China and things like that. But
Liberation and all that.
But there was, this new move to Egypt makes it very, very interesting because the sort of color palette that they've had for the past, a lot of games have been very, very bland because it's very much like a European city with bricks and mortar and just like gray and brown and sort of thing. But now, with this fucking Egypt thing, it is like golden and beautiful sunsets and a lot of like interesting colors with the like wherever they've got plants. It's very pretty to look at because it's just like this lush green in the middle of this barren desert. It's very, very interesting and very nice to look at. But what also makes this game very interesting is the fact that this new sort of landscape, this new sort of Egyptian thing, the cities aren't as sprawling as the European counterparts. So there isn't, like we saw in the gameplay trailer, the city that they were looking at, it didn't seem to be actually that big, but there was it had some very interesting architecture because there were holes in the middle of the roofs and things like that, and it's just so it seems like there'll be interesting ways to get around and a lot of sort of interesting angles to get into places, but just not as much like. So it'll be focused very much on like you need to get into this place. How do you do it? You can, but it's like you can do it a lot of different ways, which would be awesome. So yeah, just like the interesting Egyptian architecture makes that makes that very cool.
The total change in environment just sets the game like apart from the other Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it very much does. And there was also some interesting parts where we saw the landscape coming into effect because of the fact that it is very open. There was also an image I'll show that of him climbing a very high cliff, and so it'll be interesting to see if that'll be just like a synchronization point, as those are always in the Assassin's Creed, or if that'll actually be you can climb this high cliff and that'll lead to like another like small area, or if it's like that's how you get over to somewhere else. It'll be interesting to see sort of how you interact with the terrain to get around to different places. But another way you can interact with the terrain is using fucking animals, because they did show a lot of animals in this new trailer. The first thing they showed was like a horse, and that was like, oh, we'll use that. They'll get around. It'd be interesting to see some camels there at some point. If that would be pretty cool.
That's one thing I really like about it is that it has a really dynamic parkour system with world interactions and all that. So. In terms of what you're saying, like, interactions with animals in the environment, like this in a way, like it makes it
It's a very good
know how
like
to say it.
combination. Like it's
Very
very
good
good
combination,
like
yeah.
to get from those open sprawling landscapes. You can use the animals, but then when you get into a city, you've got this amazing parkour system to jump around and like, get wherever you want to go. But yeah, no, there was like a fucking elephant that had like fucking fancy dress on its top. That looked pretty cool. There was a couple of jaguars fighting. There was a fucking crocodile down in the bayou. And there was like it just looked very interesting. There was a whole like there was a thing of him swimming and looking. There was like fish, and that's where the crocodile showed up. But it looked very nice. So yeah, with this, I think this Egyptian setting is really good because, like we were saying before, that color palette just it really brightens it up and makes it look very cool.
It's vivid.
So I think and with this Assassin's Creed game, they took because recently they were bringing them out 1 year at a time, where it's sort of like a Madden or a FIFA sort of thing. But they did take a couple of years for this one. They've been spending some time working on it more, and I think that really helps because it does look very good and looks like there's a lot of unique things because of the fact that, like this new setting in Egypt, it leads to a lot of interesting combat choices because there are new sort of weapons and things you can use. For example, there's like a sickle. There's a lot of like giant pole arms and stuff like that you can use. So that looks very, very fun to use. There's also like it seems to be very focused around bow combat as well.
And different to the other ones where it's more hand-to-hand based.
Yeah, there was like so this sort of comes up where we were talking about where it showed in the trailer that there is a sort of an inventory equipable gear system where you can have a different bow, and it's not sort of like the previous Assassin's Creeds where you've had sort of, you know, this one has 4 out of 5 attack but 3 out of 5 speed of its shooting or anything like that. These items actually have some very unique stats. So the weapon that they showed was a legendary bow that had sort of health on kill and more like sort of stealth damage and stuff like that. So it's just interesting to see how this new gear will affect how people play. Like people will be trying to build sort of, I guess, like you could build different types of classes in this game, which would be very interesting to see. To see people going for like, you know, going the classic route of a full stealth loadout with like a very like short range sort of combat bow for like whenever you do get into a sticky situation, or a very like combat focused thing where you've got like a giant fucking axe and like a bow that can shoot 5 shots at once, because that is something they showed in the trailer. Shooting 5 shots at once. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that, and but also it'll be interesting to see with this sort of different level of gear systems. It'll be interesting to see, because a lot of games that do that, they also include, this is just something that's popped into my head, they also include microtransactions. So a lot of games do that. Now, we haven't seen anything to suggest that at all, but it just sort of pops into my head
anything,
that with
if anything, this gives the game more of a grinding system for players. Gives the players a reason to grind in the game. You could say,
gives them reason to come back and keep doing it. Like after the story and after you finish all that stuff, you can sort of build up and do more situations in different ways. And that's always fun. But potentially that could lead to microtransactions. That's just something I'm popping in my head.
I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't, because microtransactions really piss me off.
They're not great. But yeah, no. So it's hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully it don't. But you know, it maybe not. Who knows? But then so that's pretty much it for Assassin's Creed. Looks really good. It's also so the reason it's called Assassin's Creed Origins is because it's telling the origins of the Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. Like it's going back very, very far to show this is where the Brotherhood first started. There was even a scene of like a Colosseum like death match sort of thing, and so that looks very cool if you can get into that and like just fight other gladiators sort of thing, and like cool. But yeah, that was just sort of. It looks very good, and I think that that 2-year break sort of thing, it did a good job for them, and it made them you know, it looks very good and very unique from the different from the previous Assassin's Creed, and I meant play this one a lot more, but so
before we move on, I kind of want to talk about how
we got to talk about this
Assassin's Creed Origins. One main problem is that, first of all, the eagle vision, like what I noticed, I hope it's just an alpha thing, but you could actually see enemies through the ceilings of buildings and all that. Probably pop a screenshot up somewhere. But,
At one point during the trailer, during one of the gameplays, it seems to be that the eagle is looking through a hole, and then like underneath the roof of that hole, clearly where the eagle cannot see, someone gets tagged and marked.
Player. Yeah.
So,
and it kind of felt like
it
if
seems
that
like
was
very
in
much
the main game, it would be cheating.
Yeah, like very much like seeing a player through a wall.
Yeah,
and I mean the eagle already gives like enough.
Yeah,
like,
quite
sort of
enough
stuff.
coverage.
And so yeah, having that, it just sort of seems.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's just like an alpha thing, or if it's maybe like some sort of unique thing. But it's just like it was like, oh hey, he just spotted that guy like through a wall. It was very much like that.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting to see that. All right, so we're back after that weird cut because someone's internet is shit. Okay, so now.
Right.
The last thing we want to talk about with Assassin's Creed is there was a feature that we saw in one of the trailers where it showed an arrow that moved very sporadically in the so it moved towards someone. Basically, the assassin is hunting down a target. He shoots an arrow at someone, but the person goes down some stairs. So then he is able to control the arrow and moves it pretty much at a 45-degree angle downwards, and it goes
and then flat again,
and then it goes into the person. And kills them. Now it seems
anything...
very unnatural, and I assume it's going to be one of those things where it's the assassin's like power to do with sort of like the eagle vision and how they've got all that sort of bullshit.
But my idea to improve that sort of a system, like hopefully it is something that they will improve, is that rather than having the arrow being fully controlled by the player, have the player be able to influence the direction of the arrow rather than control the direction of the arrow.
Yeah, so be more sort of a gradual thing, like you holding the left stick and then it slightly starts to move and then it'll move more and move more, and then if you try to go back to the right, it'll be more difficult and that sort of stuff. Because this way it seemed like you could do a fucking loop-de-loop and it wouldn't matter. Like it was very much
because the control seemed very sudden. Like it rather than gradually turning down like an arrow would go in a parabola like normally, it kind of just snapped down in the video.
It very much just goes straight down. And you can check that out. We'll have all the links to the trailers we're talking about in these things, and we'll have some screenshots up as well. But we can't really show you this changing in direction because we can't be fucked to put videos in our things. So
we don't have the editors for it.
So so the next game we want to talk about just very quickly is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. Basically, I want to talk about this very quickly just because it's coming to Xbox. But there's an interesting thing in the fact that Battlegrounds has the server size on any given game is 100 players. And I can't think of another game that has 100 players on console. Like the Battlefield has 64, but I'm not like there might be some out there that has like 100 players on a server. But it'll be interesting to see if they actually cut that down, or if they continue and try to stick with the 100 players.
Like, given that most consoles do have a limitation compared to PC, I reckon if they just use the same beefy servers that they do for PC, they should be able to do 100-player servers for console without a problem.
I think, they might be able to.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and it also seems like PlayerUnknown, the guy who actually made Battlegrounds, did come to their press conference, and he got, like, a whole intro and everything. So it seems like they are working very closely with him. With Battlegrounds, so hopefully they will push for that and they will try and get that working, because that would be awesome if you can get 100 fucking players in an Xbox title. And
because that'll be a first. That'd be a first of its kind.
It would be, And so the next thing we want to talk about is the big sort of new reveal. Is a game called Anthem, and it's a sort of a new IP, intellectual property, which I realized what that was today, by BioWare. And I think it's how it works is BioWare's developing it, but then it's being published by EA because they're both like on their websites. It's both on there. This game, it looks very, very pretty. It's a sort of an open world RPG kind of thing, and it's a first person shooter, but still like open world. It kind of like sort of how Destiny was. But it looks very, very pretty. It's got like Horizon Zero Dawn levels of prettiness. It looks it's got a very like vast, open, sprawling landscape. And it hopefully, from what we saw from the trailers, it's sort of the Far Cry kind of thing where if you see the thing, you can go to that thing and you can go see what the hell it is. Because there's like mountains in the backgrounds and all sorts of sort of random shit.
Like it has a really like interesting, beautiful scenery. Like it mixes a lot of like ruins with vivid nature. Like a lot of vivid nature, and
so it's
the
sort of
dynamic
like
environment really works for it.
So how the story's sort of set up is there's sort of one safe city, and you are the defenders of that city, and you go out and you can see like the ruins of like entire other cities, and it's all overgrown and just like covered in like grass and just like vines and shit. And it looks very nice. And there's a bunch of trees and shit, and there's like crazy wildlife that wants to kill you, as there always is.
Yeah.
And so basically how this works is you've got your unique classes that are set up as exosuits that you wear called javelins.
Yeah, the javelin suits. Yeah,
and so we see a couple of them in here and get some in depth, like they tell us basically what they are, and so you get the first one called, I believe, is the Ranger, which is basically it's sort of like a all-rounder kind of thing. Like, it deals some damage, takes some damage, you can do a couple interesting things.
If anything, I think it gives off more of a scout type of feel.
It did seem very like small.
It's a pretty fast.
I mean, they did say in the trailer that it's like, oh, this is like an all-rounder kind of one. But yeah, no. Okay. So it's very, very interesting. And then there was like another one called the Colossus, which is a very much like tank one. It's got a giant like armor suit and that sort of thing. And the way you travel in this game, holy shit, that's actually really cool. So basically you have, like, your exosuit has sort of like a jetpack built into it, sort of thing, and you just fly around like through ruins and see all sorts of stuff going on down below you.
Yeah.
And then you can just sort of jump down and then just start walking around. So it's very much like you can get around the map very quickly. So that makes me happy that, or like hopeful that the map will be very big, because if you can go around this quickly, it seems like you should make it a large area so that you don't like hit the boundary in like 30 seconds.
Yeah. But I like the movement in terms how you can transition between air and water seamlessly.
Yes, there was a scene where they're getting shot at, and so they need to get out of fire. So one of them, the main character that we're following, goes straight down into the water and then just is flying underwater. I have a screenshot of it, and it looks very pretty under there as well. But and then just flies underwater and then just comes back up and then just starts shooting immediately. So it'll be interesting to see if there's actually some combat underwater, or if it'll be like mazes or something like that. But it's really cool to see. They take full advantage of like different sort of aspects of how you could avoid sort of fire and that sort of thing. And so they come across some enemies, they kill those. They come across some more enemies and they kill those. And then they get some unique loot drops where they got a gun that was I forget the name of it. I'll have it up on the screen there. But it's it seems very much like a sort of, this gun is like something that all players could get. It doesn't seem like a Borderlands sort of situation where the guns are very random. It seems like like a Destiny kind of situation. I keep comparing this to Destiny. I'll get into that in a bit later why. But it's a very like a Destiny situation where they very much like, these are the set legendary weapons. You can get some of these. And so they show off one of those, and it's very it looks pretty cool. And then there was world events, which basically it popped up on the top of the screen like, oh, hey, there's this storm thing coming along, and so then they run up.
Yeah, dynamic world events. Yeah,
and so they come up, a couple more people join in, and then they charge into a fucking giant like black hole or some shit, which is like, that's the world event apparently. And so that seems like really interesting to see this sort of, like, it was just a giant like black hole, and they were like, oh yeah, this is just a world event. It's like, what the fuck? Like, the lore of this world must be incredible if you can make a giant like energy pulse thing, and like, oh yeah, that's just oh, it's Tuesday at 7:00, all right, here it comes. And it's just, it seems very much very interesting to see sort of how that's all explained in the game. And it seemed that just it looks,
it's
really
a nice
cool.
take on the Destiny concept, you could say.
Yeah, and the reason that we keep bringing this back to Destiny is the fact that when I first saw this trailer, I thought of it immediately as I think it was the 2013 Destiny gameplay reveal trailer, where it seemed very similar. You like, the first of it is you team up with another player, you go through, you fight some guys, you fight some more guys, they drop a piece of epic loot, then you pick that up and it's like, oh, it's one of the legendary weapons, blah blah blah. And then you go along, a world event spawns, some more people jump in, and then boom, you're fighting that world event. Like, it was very much along the same vein. So I think it'll be a sort of similar type of game. Now granted, this looks very, very different. Like, there are a lot of differences here that you can see, but sort of, I was just like, I'm just saying, like, in terms of glossing over it very quickly, like, that seems to be how it is for me. Is like, I immediately saw this, and the first thing I thought of was like, that looks like the gameplay reveal for Destiny. Like, that's like, I remembered that trailer immediately. But it still looks very, very good, and hopefully it doesn't take the same path that Destiny did. But no, so it just,
from
like,
what I heard, like, the hype for Destiny died pretty quick.
Yeah. But yeah, so this so Anthem just sort of like, it fucking came out of nowhere. BioWare's just like, oh yeah, this looks cool, and then they fucking launched it, and it looks very, very cool. We'll leave links down to the trailer, because I definitely recommend, like, go check it out. It looks fucking awesome. If you're a fucking console player at all, and you think like if you're into any sort of open world RPGs, first person shooters, like anything like that, just take a look at this and just see how it is. Granted, it's like, I think it comes out in like 2018 or something. Most of these games come out, they do come out, they take a while to come out, but it does seem very good. I think actually, Unknowns Battlegrounds coming to Xbox comes out in 2017. Assassin's Creed is a 2017 release. A Way Out is maybe end of 2017, early 18.
I think I remember seeing A Way Out was 2018.
It might be, yeah. I think it might be 18, and Anthem is 2018 sometime.
Yeah.
I'll put up some screenshots of like when they come out, and so you can see that. But yeah, those are like the 4 games that we thought were like, oh, these caught our attention. Let's fucking talk about these because they look fucking cool as shit. Yeah, so yeah, A Way Out, an interesting fucking prison break co-op system that like no one realized they wanted until it fucking popped up, and it looks really cool.
Interesting concept.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Origins, a fucking like new take and like
refreshing the franchise.
A refreshing take on the Assassin's Creed with a new color palette and just like interesting fucking animals and combat and all that sort of shit. PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds coming to Xbox. Let's see how the 100 server player size does. And Anthem, the new IP that looks fucking awesome. And I totally want to fly around in a fucking exosuit now. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like there were a ton of other games. I definitely recommend like checking out that press conference to go see how many games, because there was, I believe, 48 games that were shown off just in the Xbox press conference.
48.
Yeah, granted it was a lot of like.
I personally haven't watched it, so.
But yeah, no, there was a lot of. So there was some other interesting games like the State of Decay 2 and that sort of thing. So if you're a fan of any sort of Xbox games or anything, just go check it out. It's a lot of really cool games, a lot of really cool indie games. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah, that was like our coverage of the fucking coverage. Our thoughts on some of the games from E3 that we thought were pretty cool. This is just from the Xbox conference, so we may even do like another one of these talking about all the other games that have come out. Yeah, there will be a Sony press conference that we'll talk about.
Sony press conference.
I'll
have a look at that.
So we'll take a look at that. If we see more interesting games, we'll have another one of these talking about that, and that'll be pretty cool. Yeah. But yeah, that about covers it. So yeah, you don't want to hear us ramble for another 5 minutes. So yeah.
All right. Yeah.
See you later.